What's going on, everybody? It's Dan here, back with another Moonshine talking. Hope you're having a good one. As always, I'm doing pretty good. Even if I wasn't doing good, I probably wouldn't tell you, but nonetheless. So the reason I'm here today is I'm gonna do an album review, and the album that I'm gonna be reviewing is gonna be the new Cradle of Filth album, "The Screaming of the Valkyries." This came out Friday, the 21st of March. Which I got my copy of it on the Saturday after. I knew this was coming out. I was gonna pick it up. It was something that was on my radar, but it wasn't something that like just because sometimes life gets in the way and all that sort of thing, and you don't really think or have time to prepare and plan and all that sort of good happy horse stuff. But I got a message from my buddy Trevor from Fumes of Hatred, and he was telling me how great this album sounded. And he's somebody who, getting to know him over the course of the past year, texting and talking, doing a live stream and stuff like that. And then, he's got a very, very good taste in music, as do some of the other people who I've met through this whole little like ecosphere of what's considered metal YouTube. So I was like, all right, I'll go. I was definitely going to listen to it. It was on my radar, but yeah, this one is going to jump up in the priority level. So I ended up, went on Bandcamp. I listened to a few songs that they had on there, and they were good. And then I was looking at it, I was like, oh shit, because it was like a few days before the release date. So I was like, oh, okay, so let me figure out how to get a copy of it so I can try to do a review on it. And I went and looked and went, and of course, uh, the album itself is out on Napalm Records, and uh, where I live, the record stores I do business with, they get stuff from Napalm, but it's not like high priority stuff, and they're not going to go out of their way to get it. And unless I ask them, probably like weeks in advance to pre-order it for me, they're not going to have it in time to get it when it gets released. So of course, gotta go to the Evil Empire, and so look on Amazon, and sure enough, it's there. If you have Prime, you could get it. I think Thursday. I went in. I don't have Amazon Prime, so I went into my boss's office and I groveled to her and asked her very politely if I gave her money, could she order it for me, and so it would be here on Saturday. And sure enough, she was okay with it, and she laughed when because she's a very normy older woman, like Southern rock, and just a bit of a devout person, as it were. But she's like, "Well, what's the name? What's this band's name?" And I was like, "Oh, you'll love this. They're called Cradle of Filth." And she just kind of shakes her head. She's like, "All right." She tells me how much it is. Bada bing, bada boom. Shows up on Saturday. So got to listen to it. I also got to listen to it at work because it's streaming on Pandora, the full thing. So that's another thing that show you how out of touch I am and out of the loop I am with things. I just realized you could stream full albums on Pandora. So when new stuff comes out, I can actually listen to it on the road when I'm at the gym or in various settings, that it's not just me sitting at home in front of my stereo or my record player with my headphones on or just sitting here doing stuff around my place. I could actually do it mobily. So that was kind of a neat little thing. So I listened to the whole thing at work, got home, listened to half of it on my break. I actually fell asleep while I was listening to it, not because it was boring or anything, but just because sometimes I get home on my break and I'm a little tired. So my body needs a little power nap. So I did that. Probably way too much information, but nonetheless, you all who come here, you know what you're getting into when you click play. So yeah, let's get into this. So Cradle of Filth, as far as a band and my familiarity with them, my exposure to them, I first got exposed to Cradle of Filth back when I was in high school. I always break this one out periodically. I had this compilation cassette, Death is Just the Beginning. This is volume 3. It was a Relapse Records compilation, and it was kind of like one of those things where I got to listen to a whole bunch of different bands who I otherwise wouldn't have been able to afford to listen to their music. So they had a song on there, "To Eve the Art of Witchcraft," which was on their debut album, "Principles of Evil Made Flesh." This one, and then after that, I would say probably just listening to singles. Every single that I've heard of them, I really enjoyed. I especially like her "Ghost in the Fog" off of Midian. I think probably if I were to recommend an album outside of this one, other than this one, I'd say Midian's probably one of the main ones that I would recommend because that's a fantastic album. But her Ghost in the Fog is on that. And I'm kind of biased with it because Doug Bradley does a lot of narration on it. And being the horror geek that I am, having Pinhead, having the Hell Priest on anything is always a cool added bonus. But he does some narration during that track. And it's a killer song. And then probably listening to Nymphetamine, the single for that. And I've heard Dusk in the Embrace. I'm probably butchering the name of that off the top of my head. I probably should have wrote it down, but nonetheless. So that's kind of like my exposure to them. They've always had a very unique sound to them, as far as like the unique spin on black metal with the adding the symphonic elements, the female vocals doing the trades and just all of that. It's a unique twist on what's a very generally speaking a very caustic genre of heavy metal, adding that element to it. They're kind of like, to me, what's appealing about them is that they're like a Hammer horror film come to life in audible form. So that's kind of one of the things that's really appealing about them to me. The look, the aesthetic, everything that comes with it. It's very cool. It's like you see these guys and you're kind of half imagining that they're creeping around in the catacombs underneath some castle while Peter Cushing's chasing them around with a torch in hand, and Christopher Lee's running around up in the high tower doing engaged in whatever mayhem he's up to. But no, anyhow, so this is their 16th full length studio album. It was produced in it was made, recorded, produced, engineered, mixed, mastered, blah, 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 by the band and Scott Adkins in Grindstone Studios in Suffolk, England, which is where the band is from. I'd be remiss to say they got together in 1991 and they've been together almost 35 years. That's crazy. 34, 35 years. That's an amazing run for a band. Outside of Danny Filth, the mastermind, the band leader, the vocalist, pretty much most of the band they've been around for probably about a decade or so. I'd say 11 to 13 years. Murthis, the drummer, Ashok, the guitar player, and Daniel Firth, they're probably the most tenured members of the band. They've been around. Daniel Firth's been there for about a decade or so, and then Ashok and Marthas, they've been with the band for close to, doing the math, like 13 years or so, something like that. And then Zoe Marie Fedorov, she does keyboards and she does the clean vocals, and Donnie Burbage, he's been with the band. The two of them been with the band since 2022, since the last album came out. But yeah, so now you kind of got the specs of this thing. Oh, and I'll talk about this, but I'll show you the album, and I can talk about this while I'm showing it to you. So here is the album itself. That is the cover. There's your back cover. The art on this was all done by a gentleman named Roberto Diaz, and he did a phenomenal job. When I got this, one of my coworkers, I got it. I had it sent to work, and one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, what'd you get? What'd you get?" And so she asked me to open it up, and I did, and I showed it to her, and she is certainly not into metal, not in even the slightest bit, but she was enamored with this artwork. She's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool, Dan! No, that's..." And so yeah, here's the inside, the lyric sheet with all sorts of insane, creepy artwork. The one thing I will say is check that out. That's some badass stuff there. Roberto Diaz did a fantastic job on that. Dan Goldsworthy laid out the he laid everything out for the album as everything goes foggy, which it should because for a man with a voice for silent film and a face for radio, it's probably better that the camera stays blurry. And then the album itself, it's just basic black vinyl. You know, nothing too sexy or fancy about it. But yeah, it's 9 tracks. It's roughly about an hour long, and man, it's killer. It's kind of funny. 10, 10 minutes in, and I'm finally getting around to actually talking about the album. And if this freaking camera will not stay focus, there's probably something to be said about the focus being lost, but nonetheless. But yeah, this one it's fantastic. I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I listened to a few songs in advance of the release. They put out White Hellebore, Malignant Perfection, and To Live Deliciously on Bandcamp. So I got to listen to them. They were great teasers. I would say probably overall, I'll get a little more in detail in a second here, but overall, probably my favorite tracks overall on the album are White Hellebore, The Trinity of Shadows, and Malignant Perfection. I think Malignant Perfection is going to be one of those ones. This freaking thing, I am gonna, I'm gonna toss it into the sea in a moment. But I'm also getting ready. Bear with me, folks. I'm getting ready to work out, so I'm gonna have a swig of my C4 here. You ever want to sponsor me, guys? But um, Malignant Perfection is probably one of those ones that just the way the song is with the chorus and just it's a general toe tapper. I mean, it's a really solid song. I kind of imagine that one's going to wind up on the live set. That's probably going to be added to their live set list. Very good. The chorus to it is very catchy. It's one of those things where I can see them trying to get a sing along going along with the crowd. And Trinity of Shadows, it has a very it's a very mellow deathy. Like it's not weird, but it, when you listen to this and you listen to a black metal album and you listen to a black metal band, everybody kind of has in their mind's eye a vision and a sound in their head of what the album's going to sound like. And Cradle of Filth does not sound anything like that. They incorporate elements of thrash. There's lots of new wave of British heavy metal twin leads on here, like Donnie Burbage and I forgot his name, Ashok. They have a very they have a synergy that's almost kind of like Glenn Tipton and KK Downing. And I know some people might think that's kind of hyperbolic, but it's just a lot of what they do has that very old school Judas Priest twin guitar lead feel to it, which could be said that it has that old school 90s Swedish mellow death sound to it as well, like the At the Gates or, even not quite so old school, but Children of Bodom, stuff like that. But yeah, it was very good. And like thrashier elements on the opener To Live Deliciously. To me, it just sounded the rhythms on it sound like straight up thrash metal. I mean, that's what my ears got from it. That's what I took from it. Same thing on the second track, Demagoguery. You get that. You also get again more like twin guitar leads and new wave of British heavy metal trade offs and stuff like that. Very solid stuff. And here, let me move my notes here so I can tell you more about this thing. Yeah, those are probably my favorite tracks on here. And then I would say, yeah, White Hellebore. I was just listening to that a little bit ago, and that's just phenomenal. That's a great song. I know one of my favorite words. I should probably have like a ding whenever I say phenomenal, but yeah, the galloping drum beats on it. It's it's probably the most trad black metal song on here, like the most what anyone would recognize as black metal, like a proper black metal song. That one would probably be it. It's just great, but and as far as the vocals go, for a guy that's been doing this for near 35 years. Danny Filth's vocals are as strong as they've ever been. I mean, he hits those blood curdling shrieks like nobody's business. The Zoe Federoff, her vocals. I mean, he knows every female vocalist that's worked in Cradle of Filth all have beautiful voices. It's that added element that separates them from the pack. It's something that it creates this element almost like uh, there's a certain gothic beauty to it when you add those trade-offs between the female cleans and Danny Filth and his crazy maniacal shrieks that he's got going on with the growls and all that sort of stuff. It's just one of those things that really it's like it's what's probably provided them with some sort of longevity over the years is being unique like that. I know there's other bands that do it, but they're probably one of the best versions. They're one of the best ones to do it. But yeah, his vocals are extremely strong. I mean, his voice is held up over the years. I've never seen him live, so I can't tell you how they sound live. But if this is any indicator, I know you get Pro Tools and all this other, technical wizardry that goes on in the studio, but I would have to say that he probably sounds pretty good live. And then probably best versions of or best examples, I should say, of the trade-offs between the clean female vocals and Danny Filth's vocals are probably Non-Ominous Moray, Malignant Perfection. Again, that's probably a song that's going to make the live set because it just it has those moments where you just I don't know, to me at least for my money it's going to be hard to not sing along to them and bang your fists and tap your feet and bang your head and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, overall, yes, go pick this up. It's a fantastic album. uh it's definitely one of those ones that I think the more you listen to it, the more you're going to pick up little elements of things here and there from it. To recap, probably my favorite songs on here were Trinity of Shadows, Malignant Perfection, and White Hellebore. Those would be the ones that I probably recommend the most if you want to check out. Also on You're My Nautilus, around the 3:30 mark, there's a very cool little bridge in the middle of that song where it almost has like a schoolyard teasing rhythm going to like nah, 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 which I thought was it's very cool. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But yeah, as you can tell, I really enjoyed this album. I mean, pretty much everything on here is good. Even the stuff that I didn't mention is also very good. But those would be the ones, the tracks I mentioned. Those would be the songs that I think are probably the standouts, the most stellar of the bunch. But everybody from top to bottom, they did a fantastic job from the production to the layouts, the art, the music. Everything is top notch on this one. This one is probably going to be very high up for me at the end of the year unless something knocks it off. But yeah, it's fantastic. So Cradle of Filth, Screaming the Valkyries, go pick this up. It's on Napalm Records. It came out on Friday, March 21st, and yeah, it's killer. It's killer. I would recommend it. And yeah, man. So it is. It's time to go. I hope everyone had a good one. Hope you enjoyed the review. Hope you enjoyed my opinion on the album, and hope you check out the rest of my stuff. I got a couple of interesting ones coming up pretty soon here that I'm working on. Doing like a doing one of those discovering insert band name videos. I'm doing a couple of those. I recorded them, but I want to. I just want to put some finishing touches on a couple more on a couple of them very briefly, and then yeah, go from there. And then yeah, man, that's it. And it's Sunday night. Well, it's not Sunday night. Obviously, it's not nighttime, but it's Sunday, and tonight, Belphegor in Tampa. Yeah, yeah. Getting ready to do that. So I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna go do my thing, go grab something to eat, and then probably by the time I get done fiddle farting around and done doing this thing, it'll be time for me to go get ready to go hit the show and go listen to some loud, blasphemous black metal. All right, everybody. Take it easy. This is Dan from Moonshine talking. Have a good one. Stay sick, stay heavy, stay brutal. Always tuck your chin upon impact, and don't forget to breathe. Everyone have a good one. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.